Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. It's Wildflower, Tisha here, and it is Valentine's Day. Guess who doesn't care? I'm just wishing you a happy Valentine's Day because I'm polite. So anyways, it also happens to be our 23-year anniversary since we've been together. In September, we actually celebrated 22 years together, and today, Valentine's Day, is 23 years as a couple. And just an FYI, he did say, "Will you be my girlfriend?" It's totally how he asked me out. I'm not lying. So anyways, yes, our 23-year anniversary falls on today, and I'm also posting a passion spell either over the weekend, well, actually probably over the weekend. I'll be posting a passion spell, but the last day will probably be like Monday, even though I have like a whole 38 subscribers, but thank you to my whole 38 subscribers because you guys are awesome. And you guys are the ones that are hopefully listening to me right now. So anyways, I'm actually gonna light some incense, so hold on. So I'm like wicked addicted to incense. Like, honestly, if you wanna be my friend, just buy me incense and I'll love you forever. I'm totally serious. I'm on another level today. My energy is very weird, but anyways, so this is dragon's blood, and it smells so good. And you know what's funny? Incense really do change your mood and change your vibe. I mean, I think they do. Like, I go through so much incense, it's actually ridiculous. Like, I honestly need to start like looking into like Amazon or wherever. So wherever you guys go to get your incense online, the cheapest, please let me know, because I want to start checking out different sites, because I literally use, I want to say on the minimum I would use, on the very minimum I would say I would use like 2 to 3, I don't even want to say 2 to 3 sticks of incense or cones or resin or whatever that I light in my home per day. So yes, I spend a lot of money on incense. And I am talking about incense for like 5 minutes now. So let's get on with this spiritual awakening update, shall we? Hey, look who's back. Oh my God. Like, the theatrics of that though, correct? I mean, you guys have to love it. I mean, I have done nothing with my lighting. Although when I'm recording, the lighting looks pretty good. Like, the lighting in the room looks pretty good. And my house doesn't get a lot of natural sunlight. There's actually 2 really small windows here, and this is actually the basement level of the house that was completely redone, because this house, it's actually been owned by 2 families, the one before us and ourselves, and they had built like an in-law hall, like set up with kitchen and everything that they originally had here. And so this was actually a basement. So these windows here in this room are super low to the ground, so we really don't get any sunlight in here either. So it's like all the plants I've ever kept in here have died. So I don't know, it's just me or it's the sunlight or it's both of us, but they have. So anyways, I wanted to just give you guys kind of like an update. I think in the last video I spoke to you guys, it did, in fact. I just remembered because it was terrible. I don't know how I could forget. So I had the worst like 2 weeks of like this dark night thing not too long ago, and it was just horrible. And I'm like, actually have been dreading going back and revisiting anything that even resembles that ever again, ever. Because it was like, usually, you know, when you get yourself into like a super bad mood and you still have that ability to pull yourself out of that mood. Well, when I was at like going through this process, I couldn't get myself out of the mood. Like, I tried to snap out of it like so much, and like my mood would get there for a second and then it was just like all over again. But seriously. And anyone who's actually gone through this, like, knows. And then it's funny because the other day, see, I'm going to rattle. I can tell this is where this video is going. So the other day, like I said, I am a member on, and I'm sorry that I flip my hair so much. I noticed that when I watched my videos back, but I do. So I just cannot stand still. I really can't. I was doing like an audition casting tape once, and the guy was like, "Can you just stand there?" And I'm like, seriously, I wonder if someone like offered me $1 million if I could literally just go and stand there while they spoke to me and just like not move. It's probably impossible. My husband's like, "You're like the airport attendant, whatever you call those people." I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be offensive. I don't know what you call it when they're directing the airplanes outside. Like, that's what he says about my hands. So I guess I talk like this, but who cares? So again, I'm missing my point. So I've been back into that dark night, but not like that, not like a 2-week process. It's just like, it's totally what the lady was telling you. See, rattling. The lady, Christina, that I was telling you guys about, I follow her on YouTube, and she is a therapist, and she's always talking about spiritual awakening, and she's already been through one. Hers is complete. Now she just speaks on, you know, her past, you know, referencing back to what she went through when she was on her spiritual awakening, and her work at, you know, with her clients nowadays, and what she does and how she helps them go through the process. And on her videos, she talks about all the different stages of process, and dark night happens to be one of them. And everything she says about what you're going to go through is so right. So there was this other girl on Amino. I told you it's there's like a spirituality app I'm on there, and a witchcraft app. There's like a lot of different communities. Well, she posted something, and she was talking about somebody on YouTube that was similar. I actually thought she was talking about the same person, and she was talking about how you get physical illness during spiritual awakening. And I'm like, and I laughed because I'm like, God, most people probably are looking at her article right now like the girl's crazy, because spiritual awakening like truly seems like that most of the time. But when I read it, it like immediately resonated, because for me, I've been finding myself getting sick. And it's funny because if you recall through these videos, you hear me say a lot, oh, I'm sorry about my voice. I've gotten sick again. I've gotten sick again. So I've always had a super, super healthy immune system, like dynamite immune system. Even as a kid, I used to fake it, you know, with the blow dryer and the thermometer and all that. Yeah, I used to fake it because I hated going to school. Plus, I was like bullied every day of my life, so it really sucked. But anyways, hold on one sec. Tisha, stay on your point. I'm staying on my point. So my point is that I had a little bit of like a bumpy road the past like couple of weeks, I guess, but no, you know what? I'm not going to call it a bumpy road. I had some bumpy moments. I had a few like obstacles come in the way, and they kind of reminded me of going through that 2 weeks of that dark night. And the thing about it is, the whole point of this story is to tell you that at this point now, when that started to happen, I automatically recognized it. Like, that's what's happening. Like, this is trying to send me into like that dark night thing again that I went to for like 2 weeks, where I didn't even like come out of my house. Like, I was a vampire. And I never want to see that again. And I mean, I really never want to see that again. If I can do anything about it, and at least just be aware of when something like that is starting to occur, then I can like stop it. And so I feel like that's what I did. I feel like I started getting like down, and I started like, I'm just going to stay in the house. You know, I started with my mojo. We've been back in the gym. I've got my husband in the gym. I'm training him in the gym now. So it's like I have the extra motivation by going with him. I'm working out with my son's girlfriends at the gym. So it's all this like extra motivation that I don't really have any excuses to like go there anymore, you know? So every time I got into that moment, it was like, no, you got right back in the track, you know? You're back on track now. You're doing everything right. Like, don't let yourself go back into that, like, that phase that you were in, you know? So I think spiritual awakening, you know, spiritual awakening is all about growth at the end of the day. So if you think about it, me becoming aware that that was happening is a great thing, and it's a sign of growth, because it would just occur before, and I wasn't even aware that it was occurring. I mean, I wasn't even aware of what it was that I was going through, what was happening to me, because I wasn't aware, you know? But now something can happen, or I can see the signs, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute, okay? You know, and at least I can acknowledge that, and then it's up to me, you know what I mean? It's my reaction to that. Like, you take acknowledgement of something and you go from there, you know, you do what you're going to do from there. So basically, yeah, whenever I get into those depressive or low modes, I can at least acknowledge them. And then from that point, at least when you acknowledge something is when you can like get out of it, you know, you can do something about it. So a lot of the things that have been helping me through the spiritual awakening, and whenever I felt that way, are just doing things that I'm passionate about, things that I enjoy doing, or like starting something completely new. So my advice in this video for you today is, when you're going through those hard times, like, what do? You know? What if you don't have a lot of girlfriends? What if you're male and you don't have a lot of guy friends and girlfriends or whatever? You're single. You don't really have a lot of family. You don't have anybody to talk to, but you're going through this. So it's hard, you know? I'm lucky to say that I have the support, you know, my family, they'll be like, you're crazy, you know, but they support me nonetheless. Everybody in my family supports me. We're a very small family. I have the best supportive husband, so he's always like my crazy wife, but he like totally supports me. So, I mean, for me, like, I started signing up for spirituality classes because why? There's going to be like-minded people at these spirituality classes, and what better for when you get into these depressive modes where you're like, am I crazy? You know, you start to look at yourself funny. Like, I do it all. I still do it. No matter how many times I say, you're not crazy, you're going through a spiritual awakening, you still do it to yourself, right? So, be around like-minded people so you don't feel like you're going crazy because they're talking about the same types of things as you. And so you can identify with them and actually have conversations, you know? So that's something I started doing. Like, I'd signed up for a heart chakra class and extra like guided meditation classes that were involved with other people. I started signing up for more yoga classes, just classes in general. So I could purposely go out and, you know, that I had a date set and, you know, I told somebody I was going to be there. So now it's accountability. Now I have to show up because when you're, you know, adding somebody else into something, now you know what I mean? You have a respect to them. You owe it to them to go and do what you ask them to go and do. So I would ask my son's girlfriends or whatever to come and sign up for a certain yoga class with me or whatever it was on a specific night, because then I felt definitely accountable. Like, okay, I'm not going to give myself an excuse like, it's 7 o'clock at night now. I just got home from work. I'm on the couch and I'm like tired. Now I just want to lay here and like relax. You know what I mean? You give yourself those excuses. Oh, I'll just go next week. So I held myself accountable by signing up for lots of different classes and involving other people in the routines that I wanted to have for myself, so that I knew that I would be breaking my boundaries and I wouldn't be giving myself excuses. Also, something that I really need to do is to go out and be more socially active, because I'm not a I'm not a super socially active person. Well, online I'm pretty social, but in real life I'm actually pretty shy and distant until you get to know me, and then I won't shut up. And I'm annoying, but I'll be the best friend you have had. So, but anyways, again, sticking to point. So sign up for classes, make plans with people so that you can hold yourself accountable if you decide that you want to break those plans. Do things you're passionate about. You know, I shoot bow and I like to shoot guns, you know, for my own protection. So we'll go down to the range, we'll shoot some guns, I'll shoot my bow. Writing, I love writing. Writing is my first love and my passion. It always has been since I was in the 1st grade is when I started writing poetry, and it went from poetry to books, I think, by the 3rd grade, where I just, very short little kid stories. You know, I was a child writing kid stories, but yes. So I do a lot of reading and I do a lot of writing. I do a lot of researching on the web just to learn about new things. So I wanted to show you guys a few books that I picked up. This one I haven't read yet. Give you guys a close-up. The Untethered Soul. It looks like a really beautiful book. It's by Michael Singer. So I haven't read this one yet. This one I have. The Power is Within You, and this is one of my favorite authors, actually, and I have a lot of her books. This book I've had for, actually, I don't even know how many years. Definitely over 7 years I've had this book. But she has a lot of amazing books, and I think I've read this one like 3 times now, and it's something that I'll just go back to and refer, or just like, oh my God, this is the cutest thing. I swear to God, I didn't plan this. So I just found this in the book, okay? This is crazy, and I can't wait to go upstairs and show my husband this. I believe this is my daughter, and so I don't even know when this was, but I can't wait to show her too, and she's actually sleeping out. She's at her boyfriend's dorm tonight, so that's how long ago this was, and I've had this book. Potato. No idea. And then So that was the cutest thing ever. Now I want to make it 4 times that I've read this book. Do you see? That was a signal. It was definitely a signal that there's something missing, that there's something in this book that I haven't yet read, and now I have to read. This is so crazy. So, Louise Hay, if you are out there, your book just did that. Someone tag Louise, please, in this post. Please tag her. Yes, her. This beautiful soul right here, because that was crazy. Like, I've ever seen, like, a sign, and I'm just kind of like, is it a sign to read this book, or is it, let's see what page it's on. Okay, just for suppressed feelings lead to depression. Depression is anger toward inward. It is also anger that you feel you do not have a right to have. For instance, you may not feel it's okay to be angry at your parent or spouse, or employer, or best friend, yet you are angry. And you feel stuck. That anger becomes depression. Far too many people today suffer from depression, even chronic depression. By the time we feel that depressed, it is very difficult to get out of it. It feels so hopeless that it becomes an effort to do anything. What was I just talking about in this video? And what was my entire part 2 of Spiritual Awakening all about? So you guys have seen live, and I promise you guys, and I don't need to swear on people who have passed. You can believe me or not. I did not place those there. I just found them there, and I just read you the page where I found them. And so that was like an amazing synchronicity, there we go again, message that I received while I was live doing this YouTube video for you guys. So Louise Hayes is a powerful person, I guess. 2 more books, guys. I'm not really going to go over this too much. 365 ways to raise your frequency. If you guys know anything about frequency, and if you don't, look it up. You know, you can even YouTube it. There's some great videos on there. There's a few people that I follow that talk about this. Actually, you know what? I should link them. I'll link them down below. There's, what is his name? I'm just like, my head cannot think from it. Aaron Dowtree. And I forget the other guy, but Aaron Dowtree, he's one of the first people that I started following, male speakers actually, that I started following that talked about spirituality and, you know, everything that connects with it, the law of attraction, etc., etc., etc. But he talks a lot about how to raise your frequency. So I don't want this video to get into that. But basically, this is an amazing book. If you already know what it is, Google it and then refer back to this video. Again, Melissa Alvarez is the author. Okay. I could just edit this video, but I'm not going to. Melissa Alvarez is the author of this book. Here's a close-up, guys. Okay. And then this is one of my favorite books because it just never gets old, is The Magic. And my favorite part of this book is picking your own stone or crystal, which I've used rocks that my husband has given me from the beach, or rocks that I personally found myself, stones that my children have given to me. So usually it's a stone that has some sort of special meaning to me, and I will use it for this practice. If anybody is not familiar with The Magic, it is from the whole series, The Secret. There's The Hero. There's so many books out now. And I have read, actually, I think I've read The Secret 6 or 7 times and watched the movie, but I don't like the movie at all. I'm sorry. I just don't like it at all. But I absolutely love the book because I've read it like 6 or 7 times, like I just said. So, like, I love this book just in its entirety. And like I said, I also enjoy writing and journaling. So it's a way to give me an ideas of what to journal and to remind me about law of attraction and showing gratitude and being grateful in my everyday life and not forgetting about the importance of that. And like I said, the rock that goes along with this video, well, it doesn't go along with, and it's not a video because it's a book, but the rock that they ask you to use in one of the practices, learning techniques that's in this book, is just a really cool idea to me. And I leave the stone in a certain place every night before I go to bed, because I know it's a place first thing in the morning. I'm making my tea or making my coffee or whatever it is first thing in the morning. I'm going to see that stone. So at nighttime, I see it in the first thing at night, first thing in the morning, and the first thing before I go to bed, I see that stone. And so you want to put it in a place that you can remember, you know? So anyways, long story short, if you guys want me to do a video getting more in touch with like some things that you guys can do, and I still have other books that I didn't even bring up in here, that if you are an artist, as far as you like to draw or paint or writer or any kind of creative person like that, I have this really great book called The Artist's Way, and there's a lot of deep work. I actually stopped using that book twice, like cursed that book out. It's a lot of deep work. Like you honestly wouldn't imagine when you just look at the book cover, but it really is. And I still haven't finished reading it. And I bought that book, I think, oh my God, I honestly don't know when I bought, let's just forget about when I bought that book, because there's a reason why I'm going through it so slow. That's the way I'll say it. So anyways, guys, again, if you want me to go further into the magic and talk about the stone and routines that you guys can do to show your gratefulness every day, then I will do a video on that alone, or ways that I show my gratitude every day, and the journaling work that I do and the deep work that I do. We can do a video on that entirely. But I don't really have too much bad news about my spiritual awakening this time around. Like I said, I'm now aware of when I get into that moment. I just have to try and pick myself back up. And even if I can't, you know, I can simmer it down enough just to not get in that place where you get so dark that there's no coming out of for a while, you know? So it's really about growth, is just learning. And if learning is just the fact that you're now aware of something then you weren't, then you have to understand like how far you've traveled to make that progression. So the first time I looked at it, I was like, okay, what did I benefit from? But I benefit from a lot, because now at least if you're aware, maybe you don't know how to make the changes yet, but you're aware that it's there. You can recognize it, so now you can actually try and do something about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any questions, or if there's anything in particular you'd like me to talk about as far as spiritual awakening goes, like I said, I'm doing this video from a personal perspective because I just think it's really interesting to hear someone actually going through it in the moment, rather than someone who's already been there, because they can't understand really, I don't always exactly what they're feeling. Like I can tell you exactly what I'm feeling right now, you know? So, but I mean, I'm good. I'm much better than the last video was, even though towards the end when I did put that video together, I was in a better place. But, you know, and I want you guys to also know the difference, you know, between things. If you guys have just been sad and depressed, and, you know, it doesn't mean that you're going through a spiritual awakening, because a spiritual awakening can be so unique for every single individual. I mean, absolutely, I'm sorry, but I have to say that I don't understand how a spiritual awakening can be completely different for every single person, because we are so individual and unique. So if you are feeling depressed, always make sure of what your feelings are, because if you need to get actual help, you know, physical help, then do get help for that depression. You know, I don't want you to think that, well, because you get depressed when you go through spiritual awakenings, that, okay, that's what I'm going through. I'm not a doctor. I don't know anything about that. I'm just a regular person. Personal trainer is the most that I know about the human body. And I only can speak for what I'm going through on my own. And so I just want to reach out and let you guys know that if you're feeling really depressed and you don't know why, you know, seek out professional help for that. And I wish you all the best of luck and love and light. And that's all it is here, guys. Happy Valentine's Day.